Welcome, welcome. My name is Jesse. I'm a co-founder at Woven, and thank you for joining the step-by-step quick start tutorial to experience Woven as if you're a software engineer in your day-to-day workflows. So if you have not heard about Woven, my suggestion is to pause here, go to wovencollab.com. Again, wovencollab.com, and you could scroll through our landing page, get a sense of what Woven is and why it exists. There's also a 90-second high-level Meet Woven video that I recommend. TLDR on Woven is that we are very focused on helping engineering orgs own and govern their data um, and to create self-governing data. When we talk about self-governing data, it is the idea that data is governed even before it's produced. A prerequisite to being for data to be produced is that it's already governed, and that's governed from a discovery perspective, from a quality, security, privacy perspective. And we're doing this by bringing deep integration into CI/CD with AI to deliver a delightful engineering experience that is zero friction, zero manual work, zero third-party tools. Why? Well, there's two main reasons, and maybe these resonate with you. The first one is that every company wants to be an AI company now. They have lots of internal data. They want to get that inside an LLM and figure out how to create really amazing internal and external products. But that's tough. Maintaining semantic accuracy of that data, maintaining quality of that data, protecting sensitive information, whether that's internal IP or whether that's customer data, it's all very challenging. And so it really brings to the forefront this idea of data governance. This is happening at the same time that governments and regulatory bodies also really care about data governance, specifically how you think about customer privacy. You see that with GDPR in Europe. It's at the state level in the US, but California has kind of set the model there that a lot of companies are following. This sets the stage for Woven and why we've decided to launch this product right now. So again, wovencollab.com. If you do wovencollab.com/tutorial, then you will get to our demo repo for today. And again, this is a step-by-step walkthrough so that you could follow along and get some hands-on experience with Woven yourself as part of your evaluation and due diligence process. To set this up, we have created this demo repo that's just a basic to-do app. And imagine that I'm a software engineer and I'm working on this project that's going to let a user delete a to-do item. So it's not market complete, but it's actually get rid of it entirely. That's what we're going to be working on today. Okay, so to get started, let's first get out of main and create a new branch. I've created this Woven tutorial branch just a few minutes ago that I'm going to be using. And then we're going to do this entirely within github.com. So you don't have to do anything on your local machine. It's very simple. I also created this code space. You should just create one for yourself. And that lets us do everything that we need to do on github.com. Okay, so let's go to our to-dos data model. And for this, we're going to do a couple of things. First, we're going to add in a user ID. So a user ID is going to look like a lot like a to-do ID. Set this to false. Null is false. We're also going to have a Boolean. Is this field, say, active? And null is false. Default here is going to be true. It is an active to-do. And then if someone deletes it, we want to collect a little bit extra data, and we want to do deleted at. And so null here can be true. And I think that is it. Let's run make test. And this is where you start to see kind of the first appearance of Woven making an entry. So what we're doing here is looking at your code base and figuring out, has the core data model changed? And you're going to see right up here under DAPIs that todos.dapi.yaml has changed. Now let me collapse this a little bit and talk about it. So Woven is built on OpenDAPI. OpenDAPI is an open source software. You can go to wovencollab.com/OpenDAPI to access it. You could also go to opendapi.org and you'll land here. Feel free to go through that as you'd like. OpenDAPI was designed as an abstraction on top of your data schema that lets you extend your schema to include more important metadata for data governance and data discovery. So let's go through this here. So we have the same fields. You note that as part of that make test, we added in deleted at, we added in user ID, we added in is active. When you go into that, there's some syntax. So we know that it's a string and we know that it is not nullable. Those are the things that we defined as part of the data model. But OpenDAPI has allowed us to extend this schema, think about a schema plus plus, to include a semantic description, as well as a flag for whether it's PII, personally identifiable information, or not. OpenDAPI is highly extensible. So you could have different security and privacy classifications here. You could also have things like example data. You could have things like data quality rules here. And then this kind of interesting one is really what makes OpenDAPI even more unique. OpenDAPI stands for Open Data API. And borrowing from service APIs, the core philosophy is that teams that produce data should be intentionally sharing that data. because data that's produced is really only as valuable as the business impact that it has. And so to create that business impact, you need to get other teams in analytics, ML, AI, business operations to take advantage of this data. And so there's two pieces to that. One is that we have this share status such that you could change it to stable and say, I'm willing to put some guarantees around this. You should feel comfortable using this field in your analysis. That's one. And then the second piece is that we spend a lot of time tightening up that feedback loop between data consumers and data producers. You're going to see a little bit more about that. But a core principle of Woven is that we encourage strong collaboration and tight feedback loops between data consumers and data producers to create as much value from that data as possible. Okay, let's, so we made our changes. Let's do a commit. And then push this up. And finally, we will create a PR. And I have my cheat sheet to the side here. Okay, good. So let's go back to our demo. We have a new PR. Perfect. So this is the next part that you'll see Woven in. Woven's doing some checks as part of GitHub Actions. And there's a few things that are happening here. So one, we're identifying whether or not a data model has been changed in this PR. Two, if there is a change, we're doing an assessment of how that might impact downstream data consumers. And so again, think analysts who have dashboards, or ML engineers who have models that are dependent on this, or different ops teams or finance teams that are depending on data that you're producing. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is, if there is a data model change, Woven is going to employ AI and traditional ML to suggest updated data documentation. And so that's what we're going to find here. The check ran, say PR is looking good. We noticed some data model changes, generated some updated data documentation for you, review it. And then down here, it looks like we have 2 users that we need to reach out to because they are dependent on our data. Now before, maybe I would send out an email or blast out a Slack message or set up time with different teams to go through data changes that I'm making. This is slow, it's cumbersome, it's not perfect. What we're trying to do here is to bring this forward as much as possible and make it really explicit. Again, tightening that feedback loop between data consumers and data producers so that I know I'm about to make a change. John and Jane are dependent on this data that I'm using. I'm gonna go reach out to them in Slack or whatever and figure out how do we collaborate on making this change as quickly and as seamlessly as possible. Okay, so let's click into Woven's AI suggestions for data documents or data documentation. And again, this goes back to that OpenDAPI file. So as you see here, there's a few changes and a few things to call out. One is that Woven thinks about this entity holistically. So anytime there's a change to this data model, Woven cares both about that change, but also holistically, what does that mean for this to-do entity? And so you'll see some changes here like, okay, the description for the to-do entity has been updated at like a macro level. And then for each individual field, it's also doing a recalibration. So if you look at user ID, we just added this in. In the DAPI file, there's just placeholder text. We don't need a software engineer to do any work there because Woven's going to figure that out. It says, okay, user ID is the unique identifier of the user associated with the to-do entry. Great. Also, the default for a field is false, that it's not PII. This is kind of a local default, but as soon as a PR is created and Woven has a chance to analyze it, it says, oh, that is true. It is personally identifiable information. Some other changes that we made are the deleted at and the inactive. Those stayed PII is false in both cases, but the descriptions were updated. Date and time when the to-do entry was deleted, if applicable. Again, that speaks to the nullability of that field. And then for is active indicates whether the to-do entry is currently active or not. Great, so let's go back here and merge this with the PR that we just created with the data model change. And then what happens is Woven's going to rerun some of these checks, make sure that the DAPI file is valid, it's up to date, everything makes sense. And then what I'd be able to do is merge it. In this case, I need approval, but I'd merge it. Now, in the case where I am merging, as soon as it's merged, my data stakeholders will get a notification in Slack that says, hey, this field just changed, or these fields just changed in this entity. Here's the changes. Here's how they impact you. You can take additional action if you need to. Cool. So we're not going to ask you to install Woven on your own Slack to test this out. What we have done is set up a tutorial demo channel in our Slack community. If you want to get to our Slack community, it's wovencollab.com/community. Anyone is welcome to join, and we'd love to have you there. And in the tutorial demo, you could ask questions to Woven. It's a traditional chatbot, so tell me about the to-dos entity. Okay, it's part of the to-dos app core model. Here's where it's defined, and it has these fields. Note that we didn't actually merge, and so Woven doesn't yet know about the changes that are coming, but when that merge happens, this will be updated. And you can ask it, really whatever else you want. So what values are possible for checked. Okay, true and false. Yeah, great. So test it out, play with it. Push us on the types of questions that you want to ask. It is limited to data questions only. And so you could ask, what does this field mean? Who owns it? What's the difference between this field and that field? You could ask for SQL statements. All you have to do is tag Woven. So that wraps things up. Thanks for coming on the journey with us. We would love to hear from you. So if you want to schedule time with the team, wovencollab.com/chat. You could book one-on-one time with Woven engineer to talk about your specific circumstances. Again, you could go to wovencollab.com, just generally look around, check out our docs. Or if you are ready to take the plunge and want to start getting Woven active and integrated in your own repository, wovencollab.com/get started will let you create a free account. We have a free startup plan that gets you going. And yeah, again, we'd love to hear from you. So feel free to ping us in Slack, and good luck on your journey.